guys, welcome to episode 10. Here we are, 10 episodes down of the Founder Fit podcast. My name is Damien and I have Scott to the left of me. And if you are new here, new to the podcast, new to the channel, you're in the right place at the right time, because we are driven to help people like you, entrepreneurs, business owners, potentially people who are feeling a bit stuck where you are. And, we often, look to the skills, the tactics, always trying to figure out something new that's going to advance us. But the real problem is our psychology, is our mindset. And in this podcast and what we do as a business is we help people like you work on the mindset that is needed in order to succeed in business. So you can finally break through, you can finally start making some more money, but more importantly, actually run and own the business of your dreams. Because again, what is stopping people from leveling up, going to the next level, going to that next income bracket isn't, again, just a certain skill, it's your mindset. And today we're gonna be covering a really important topic, and it's you're not burnt out. And the harsh truth is, and this, we're just gonna hit you straight where it hurts, because we're not here to just pat you on the back and tell you everything's gonna be okay. The reality is you're probably undisciplined. And we're gonna really dive into that. We're gonna talk about what the signs and symptoms of someone who is undisciplined. And more importantly, we're gonna show you how you can fix it. Because again, you know all these things, but knowing and doing are totally different. They're different brackets. And that's why a lot of the steps that you've taken to achieve success so far in your business, it's no magic, secret formula. It's just simple things done consistently over and over. And where we slow down, where we lose momentum, where our business starts to fail is when we just stop doing these things. And then we disguise it. We call it burning out. We call it stress. We call it pressure. But reality is we're becoming undisciplined. We get a bit comfortable. We get a little bit lazy. And unless we are auditing ourselves, unless we are, got the finger on us, the finger on our pulse, and someone keeping us accountable, right? Like, you don't even know it's happening. So we're going to dive into it. It's going to be a really important conversation today. And I'm going to send it over to Scott now.
Awesome. All right. So great to be here. Thank you for watching. We are really excited about this podcast. Number 10. Can you believe it? This is all about helping early stage entrepreneurs break through to that next level. I know my own experience, been in business a long time, well over, coming into almost 2 decades now, which is really exciting. I've had the massive lows and I've had the massive highs. I've made the millions and I've lost money too. And there's one thing that I know for fact, that is we all feel burnt out when we're losing. And this is the key, and I've heard this many times from other people. The time where we feel burnout the most is when we are losing. Now check in with yourself, ask yourself that question. When did you last feel burnt out? If you have, maybe you haven't, maybe you have. Maybe you haven't used that terminology, maybe you have, but I hear it a lot. I hear people say it all the time. I'm just burnt out. I feel burnt out. And ultimately, the chances are, is it's because you're losing. And they even say it, fighters say this a lot, you feel tired, you feel lethargic when you're losing, when you're getting beaten. But when you're winning, you've got all the energy and all the oxygen in the world. So essentially, what does that mean? It means that we need to get from a state where we feel like we're losing, because at the end of the day, it really is subjective. Because even if you are not getting the result that you're currently chasing in that specific moment, doesn't necessarily mean that you are losing or you're not moving ahead. It could simply mean that you're about to break through or you're learning something new, and the lesson that you're currently learning is the critical lesson to get you to that next level. But unfortunately, a lot of us mistake it for punishment or a negative, and then that translates into our state, into our mood, into our feelings, and then because of conditioning, environment, we then call it this thing called burnout. Now, I'm not here to say that it doesn't exist. I'm not here to say that we don't feel, well, what is burnout? Tell me, are you literally burnt out like a car is burnt out? When a car burns out, it it cannot function, it cannot move, it cannot perform. Is that where you're at? When you say that you are burnt out, is that what you reference? You cannot move, you cannot get out of bed, you cannot function, you cannot go to the gym. Your body and mind is broken. And I think that is highly unlikely. I know that's highly unlikely because, again, I meet people, I coach people, I train people that say I'm burnt out. And it's like, well, you're still functioning. So how is that actually the fact? It's just the language that you're using. And unfortunately, that language, once again, is going to make you feel that way. And that's going to be a repeat cycle at the end of the day. So the most important thing, and what we're going to go over today, is that first of all, we want to identify that language. We want to be fully conscious of that language. And then what we want to do is recognize what it really is. And the great Tony Robbins, he says it very powerfully. He says, don't see it worse than it is, see it as it really is, and then see it better than it is. And that's how we're going to move forward.
Totally. And moving forward, so I love everything you're saying there, is because like business and running a business, growing, the constant chase of this entrepreneur journey, it's a tiring journey, right? They say it's like one of the hardest sports, you're ever going to do is going into business. And we have to not mistake like just being tired, just generally tired for burning out. And, you can use that as an excuse as to why you're not actually getting where you want to. You could say, oh, I'm burning out. And that makes you feel okay, but does it actually move you closer towards your goal? And the reality is not. And then you pull back, right? And then you go again and you get burnt out. And then that cycle can continue. You might relate with this. Maybe you've just been stuck in this cycle for years, making a little bit of progress and then going backwards. Anyway, we have to, again, just identify that we could just be getting tired. Now, being tired might mean, and what leads to just being tired and this illusion of burning out could just be that you're being busy, but you're not being effective. So we really have to go and look and audit and really analyze everything you're doing, because how you're going about your business now, how you're going about your week is you just might be, again, bleeding energy everywhere, getting really tired and then saying I'm burning out. And then you need to change the input. You need to change how you do tasks, and you need to be more effective. And like Scott said, and it's so true, like if you're making millions of dollars and the money is coming in, you're not gonna stop. You're gonna be supercharged. You're gonna have so much energy. But when we do feel like I'm getting up today and I'm not going anywhere, and I do it tomorrow and I do it the next day, and that feeling and that sense of just not making progress is where you will start to get tired, is where you will start this idea and this notion of burnout comes into play. So what you can do, right? This is how you can change it, like literally from hearing these words, is you're going to take a moment to stop and audit the week. I mentioned it before. So what's actually going on? And to Scott's point as well from Tony Robbins is don't see it worse than it is. Don't see it better than it is. Just see things for how they are. So write down currently what's going on in your week. What's going on in your business? What are your problems? What steps, what action have you taken this week? And really just start to get a good scope of what you're actually doing and achieving in your week. And I guarantee just doing this alone, you will actually start to see the wins, the small wins that you are actually having. And you will also start to see the areas where you're wasting time, you're getting distracted, and you're just wasting energy. And it will just all be common sense. We say it in health and nutrition, is when we actually get people to track their macros, their calories, is they see all the junk food they're eating, and it's just common sense. So audit your week, right? And you will start to get right away a really good idea of what's going on.
Nice. So following on from that, that's perfect. First step is to audit your week. Know exactly what it is that you're doing. Now, like I said before, I'll keep referring back to this. When you're winning, you won't burn out. When you are achieving the success, when you're progressing, you feel great. Again, Tony Robbins, progress equals happiness. We all know it. It doesn't matter if we haven't lost all the weight yet. If we're losing a kilo a week or whatever it may be, we're feeling good about it. We're optimistic. We're not burnt out. If we start to see some sales come in, we're not burnt out. We start to get that optimism and that energy back. When we start to see our ads performing or our marketing performing, or we hit a viral video, or we bring on a great new team member, or whatever it is in your business, think of those wins. Do you feel burnt out when you're winning? You don't. You just don't. It's exactly how the human mind works. So let's reverse engineer that. What does that mean? Well, we need to start winning. So how do we start winning? The first thing is audit your time. Have a look at there's steps before that. You need to know your outcomes and whatnot, but for the sake of this podcast, we'll go from that point. Audit your time, assuming you know exactly where you're going, you're heading, your targets, your KPIs, your mission, your vision. Let's assume all that. Now it's audit your time in terms of getting there. Now let's have a look. Is that audit of your time and what you're doing within that audit, is that extremely effective? Is that the highest ROI you can get? For example, are you changing your logo or playing with your email signature or sending, bullshit emails to random things and random replies that do not move the ball forward, that is essentially called busy work? Or are you smashing out those big rocks? Are you making sales calls, lead generation, tweaking and creating products, helping your clients, upselling your clients, creating new funnels, creating more campaigns? Are you doing active work that is going to generate that income and move the business forward? Because at the end of the day, you're in business. You're here to make money. Of course, we're here to solve problems and add value, but ultimately it all comes down to that bottom line, that you're making money. Because if you're not even in business, right? You know that. So how are you auditing your time? And then what does your time then look like? What do those actions look like? Are you doing those high profile, high ROI activities, or are you doing low level stuff, which then returns low level results, which then leads to low level feelings and then leads to quote unquote burnout? And again, that word is just made up. I mean, my advice is discard that word, but if that's the word that we're going to use, that's how you get to burnout. Because again, if you are winning, you are not burnt out.
Yep. Okay, so if you are winning, a lot of this podcast isn't really going to relate to you because you're like, I don't really have this problem. I'm crushing it. And you've probably actually switched off already because this podcast probably you're like, I don't really need to listen to it. But if you're still listening, right? So, obviously this is for you. And this is not a dig at you. We all go through this. It doesn't matter what stage of business you're at. You can just fall into these slumps. But what we've got to look at again, it comes back to your discipline. And that's what we're really going to drive here. Now, what does discipline mean? It means creating structure. And without that structure, you are just winging it. And as a lot of, entrepreneurs, at some point we all are in startup mode. And in startup mode, it's like the most exhilarating time and there's so much, potential in front of you. But also this is the time where things are the most chaotic. You're just going with the flow and you're learning as you're going and implementing as you go. But what really will separate the people from startup and then go on to make, $1 million businesses and above is they have to create structure. Those structures then create systems. And then if you are disciplined to that and be consistent, that is the foundation of where your business will just keep continuing to grow. So if you're one of those people because again, you're your own boss, right? So no one's going over your calendar. No one's telling you what to do, but go look at your calendar. Is it organized or is it just, there's nothing there? And if there's nothing there, and if you don't have the structure there, it's going to be chaotic and you just cannot make progress. You're going to be burning out. You're going to be doing things the hard way. So let's go over that calendar. Now, when we look at discipline and structure, don't just think like work tasks, like my meetings and things I got to do. Like, what about you and your life as well? What's my discipline and my structure around like my sleeping, around my food? When am I eating? Like, am I prepping meals? Have I got food ready or am I buying food out? It's, there's a saying, it's like if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you want to play at a high level. And especially if you want to go and have great success, you got to start then planning, your life to suit, not to then just, hope that, you'll reach your goals. And it's very simple to do. It's not like planning just takes a focus of intentionally sitting in front of your calendar and planning the right moves. And if you don't know how to plan, well, then that's great. Now you can shine the light on what you don't know, and then you can go learn and figure out, how do I plan? How do I structure? You'll also start to see the things that you're lacking, rather than just getting distracted, disguising, doing other tasks. And again, just hoping your way to success. It does not work. So again, you can start on the small side. It doesn't always have to be the big side. So it can just be as simple as, plan your food, get your meals prepped. Organize, set an alarm for when you're going to go to bed, when you're going to wake up, when you're going to go for a run. All these simple things. And these are the simple tasks. Is we don't actually plan it. We just do it when we feel like. And when you feel like, well, if we go off feelings, we're already losing. And going back to what you're saying, the only way to win is to think and to act like a winner. And if you're just leaving things up to chance and just hoping your way to success, that's what losers do, because eventually that plan will fail, and then you fail, and then you're a loser. And it's not like you're a loser. It's you. If you're succeeding, you're winning. If you're not succeeding, you're losing. That's, we are very clear when we say that. It's not a dig at the person. It's just the reality of the result. So just get super clear on that.
It's the definition of the word. If you're losing, you're a loser. And a lot of people take that, I've said it to some people in my time, and they take it to true offense, as if it's an attack on, who they are as a person. And it's not. It's just very specific. If you lose the game of football, then you're the loser. It's as simple as that. If you're not winning in business, it's binary, then you're losing. If you're not making more money than you did last year, then you didn't lose because your business is still going, but are you winning or losing? I mean, ultimately you need to be the judge of that. And I'm a very harsh critic of myself, because it allows me to perform better. It increases that standard that I'm constantly having to chase, which naturally is going to make me work harder, which is naturally going to allow me to win more. If I'm working harder and doing the right things, I'm only going to keep winning. I'm only going to keep progressing. And ultimately, that's the game. Progress over perfection. Because it doesn't matter if you've got $1 million or $1 billion. That is not the pinnacle of success. The idea of success, in my opinion, what I've learned from my mentors, is that constant progression. And that's what we're chasing. And like I said at the start of this podcast, if you are constantly progressing, you do not feel burnt out. It is when you are losing, quote unquote, not moving ahead or not winning, you feel that burnout. So, couple of things that Damien certainly touched on, and I just want to continue to touch on before we wrap up. But we spoke about having a look and auditing your time, and then it's looking at those massive rocks. What are the things that are going to move your business forward? Because again, altering your logo and updating your website and doing all those, little things it can feel good in the moment, because it's low-hanging fruit, and you can see changes quite fast, and you might like the look of the new logo, but unfortunately, a day later, you'll then look at your bank account and you'll go back into the same state. So we need to focus. We need to remove that low-level activity. We need to outsource it, or we need to remove it completely. That's all startup phase stuff. So if you're in startup phase and you still need to do that, fine. Do it once, get it done, and move on. But if you are constantly going back to it, then you're not focusing on the big rocks. And that's our second step, those big rocks. Then from that, what we want to do is we want to systemize. We want to create systems around all of it. So we can wake up in the morning and we can attack the day with consistency and force. But if you have to constantly train your brain as to what you need to do, and you don't have consistency in your life, then naturally you're not going to be able to build on things. Like they say, you can only build on success. You can't build on a broken brick. You can certainly learn from failure, but you can't build on it. You must build on success. And the only way to build on success is to be able to do things consistently and systematically. So let's simplify that. What does that mean? So if you've got, for example, marketing, let's do a simple one. if you're currently, your marketing is non-systematic, so you're posting randomly at random times, random content when you randomly feel like it, then we need to turn that into a system, because marketing, obviously, it's never the best product that wins, it's the best marketed product that wins. And if you're not making sales, it's because you're not generating leads. So you need to generate those leads through consistent marketing. So what could that look like? First thing might be find yourself a scheduler, social media scheduler. And then what you can then do is pre-plan, use ChatGPT, use AI, and say, come up with a content schedule for the next 30 days for me. Here's my target market, here's my business, come up with a content schedule using a range of reels, images, etc. It will come up with an entire content schedule for you within 30 seconds. I mean, again, we live in the world of AI, and it's mind-blowing, because that could have taken you hours or days back in the pre-AI. We have that advantage now, so there really is no excuse. So now you've got that content schedule. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is every single Monday I'm going to book out a time, or every Sunday, whatever day you like. Again, I'm giving you examples. You'll book out a 2-hour window, 4-hour window, whatever it takes you, and you're going to create that, whether it's quote cards or info cards or reels or how to do or tips or podcasts. This takes us an hour, maybe 2 hours to do, 2 podcasts and to chop it up and to put it on the internet, 2 hours. So we schedule that for every Tuesday or Wednesday. That's scheduled in. And so you're going to do exactly the same thing. Now, over time, if you do that week on week, day on day, you have to start seeing results. Why? Because if you're putting out that content consistently, you'll only have to look at the metrics. You'll have 1,000 views one week. Then next week, you'll have 2,500. Then in 4 weeks' time, you'll have reached 7,500 people. And that's how you will compound. And that's success. And now you can build on that success. You can build on the last month of 15,000 impressions or whatever it may be. Then the next month, keep posting. Now you've got 27,000 impressions as an example. And you keep building on that success. But the only way to do that is start where we said. It's audit your time. It's find the big rocks. It's systemize those big rocks. And it's do those things consistently, and naturally you have to see progress.
Amen. And like when we say build on success, it can seem slow at the start. And this is what also scares people. And I totally get this, and I totally understand, because you want to succeed. There is no doubt in that. You want to build the business. You want to start making money. You want to break through, and you want to advance. But if you start missing the small stuff, the stuff that feels slow, then you cannot build upon those steps, those foundations that then will continue to build success. So it is so important. So do not neglect the small things. And this is just you just distracting yourself with bigger things, right? That have more dopamine really attached to it. Because if I can do that big amazing thing, I'll look cool, rather than just doing the basic consistent stuff. And if you do that, it's actually the fastest way to success as well. It's like we just think we're gonna do this one thing, sign up to this one course, and then boom, millions of dollars. Ain't gonna happen, right? Ain't gonna happen. So to wrap this up now, and I'm just gonna say it straight to you. It's like, stop hiding behind the word burnout, right? Anyone who says that, and you'll hear people say it, and you're just like, they're just hiding behind it. Why? Because they're not disciplined. They do not have a structure. And you'll notice as well, or if you don't have structure, you don't have peace. You're always thinking, you're always on. And I guarantee you this, 100%, is once you have a great structure and you can see those steps being done and you have that consistency, you can feel the progress. You feel it, and you feel productive. And that is when you can actually have a great night's sleep, knowing that you've given it your all. You're doing the hard work. You're being disciplined. You're not getting distracted. You're not getting unfocused. And that's the state that we want you in, to really crush it and kill it. Okay. So again, burnout is just feedback that you have no framework. right? That's the reality. Now, what's really exciting, and I'm going to get Scott to explain, because we've actually been taking a few people through our Founder Fit 28-day identity challenge. And we've been giving some people this framework. We provide a framework to help people, and we're already seeing amazing results. We're seeing people clearer, improving their sales, and just generally in a better state of business. So the 28-day Founder Fit challenge, Scott, if you want to explain what that is a little bit.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Look, it's not rocket science. It really isn't. Like the success that you want is not some gift that's only for the gods. And you know that because you see it online all the time. You see these 17-year-olds making all this money and, and all these people you look up to, and it's like, how are they doing it? Why can't I? Why am I burning out? Why am I struggling? Why isn't it working? It's simply because you're not following the right system. Like it's as simple as that. And that's why I invest so much money in my own development, because the fastest way to get the results that you see other people achieving is just to simply model them. This is Tony Robbins 101. It's modeling. It's finding someone the best or one of the best in their craft, and it's taking their system and it's applying it into your world. Like they're not special, special people that are gifted by God. They are purely doing something that you're not. And if you do something similar, you will get a similar result. It is as simple as that. And again, that's Tony 101. And I've experienced it in my own life, I've experienced it with my clients, and I've experienced it with a ton of my friends and the groups that I've been in, and I've seen so much success. I've studied so much success that it is so obvious that anyone can do it if they follow the right systems. So the 28-day Founder Fit Identity Challenge is all about creating the identity that will make you win in the game of business. Essentially, it is a winner's mindset. It's a winner's identity. And if you study these people from Mike Tyson to Oprah Winfrey to, Rafael Nadal to Michael Jordan to Donald Trump, or like any of these entrepreneurs or business people, it's incredible. They are not special, but they have done special things. And when I say that, special things these days is just consistent quality execution. It really is as simple as that. It's systematic quality execution. So if this is interesting to you, if you know that you need something to move you forward, if you know in your heart of hearts, because you are feeling, again, stressed, overwhelmed, burnt out, stuck in the same position or going backwards, and you just, it's been years or months and you're just not moving forward, you need to do something. So you can click the link below, you can book in a call, and you can just at least have a conversation, at least do something. Don't just sit there feeling like shit, blaming all these other things and not taking any action, because it's as simple, you will not get anywhere with that attitude. You need to make a change, and you need to make it now. And the best thing you can do right now is click that link and book a call.
That's it. Cannot say that any better. And that's it. You just, if this is your call, right? If this resonates with you, just take the action, get on a call with us, and we can just make sure this is right for you. If you're listening to this point, it would be the right thing. So
100%.
Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Episode 10 done and dusted, and we'll see you on the next one.